Okay, welcome back Magic the Rescuing fans. We are long overdue for an arena video. So today what we're going to do is we're going to build a deck and we're going to play one random game. And how we're going to do it is we are in our login screen here. And the first thing we can do is we go straight to decks here. So obviously it's been a while since we did an arena video, and we've been collecting cards and playing games, and these are my current decks here. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off on an easy kind of beginner style, we're going to go mono green elf deck, and we'll do it in the standard format so that it's relevant. It'll be a relevant green standard deck. And so what you want to do is you want to go to your colors up here, and since we're going to build mono green, we only need green colored creatures or cards, so we select the green there. And then the first thing I'm going to do, and this is a trick that I learned along the way, is I'm going to type elf up in the search here, and what it's going to do is it's going to filter out everything but elves. So elves, and if you select the standard on this right hand side up here, then it'll only give you cards that are relevant to your standard format. So Arena has added in some other formats like historic and things like that that make more cards available to you, but for now we're just going to stick with standard format, mono green deck, and we're going to go through and we're going to select our cards, and we have to be really picky about what cards we have. My advice is to not go over 60 cards. Every time I go over 60 cards, I get a little selfish and I look at it, and then I want to go more cards. I always end up losing. So you want to stick to 60, the best that you can, and usually your standard number of lands are going to be 24. So what we're going to do is we're going to look, and we're going to see what elves make the most sense. And since elves, the most important part about elves is that they drive mana through. So you want to get more elves on the battlefield as quickly as possible, and we're going to add in some cool elves here and things that are, beef up our elves. But the first one that sticks out on this page to me is the Incubation Druid. So the reason I'm choosing him is you can add a mana of any type. That's not really important since we're doing mono green, but he gets adapt 3. And if he has adapt, or he has a +1/+1 counter, not only does he add 1 mana, but he adds 3 mana. So he's a huge mana ramp elf. Mana ramp just means that you're going to have creatures that add mana to your mana pool without having more lands. So this Incubation Druid is going to be one of my first choices, so I'm just going to select him. I only have one. And obviously I don't have an unlimited amount of cards to choose from. I only have the cards that I've collected over the time. So let's see, I'm going to also put in, I'm going to choose for now 2 of these Skyway Snipers. I like that they deal damage to creatures with flying, and they have reach so they can defend. We're not probably going to have any flyers in ours, so we'll add 2 of him. And then right next to him, the Greenwood Sentinel. I like him because he has vigilance. So that means that he doesn't tap when he attacks, which is important because then you can hold him still for blocking if you have creatures attacking you. So we'll go ahead and add 2 of him as well. We've got the cool artwork on that card. I've been able to collect a few of those, which is pretty cool. So we're still on this first page here, and I really like this Pollen Bright Druid as well, because you get to add +1/+1 counters to creatures. So our little elves, we want to find ways to boost them up and make them better. This Pollen Bright Druid is really good for that. Not only can you add +1/+1 counters on him, but he has Proliferate. Now Proliferate, as you can see, you can choose any number of permanents and then give another counter of each kind they already have. So if you already played a Pollen Bright Druid and they all have +1/+1, somebody has it, you can Proliferate and add it to those creatures again. So we're going to choose 2 of him as well. Now, this Silhana Wayfinder. You can look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a creature or a land, and put it on the top of your library so you can choose what card you're going to draw next. I really like him as well. He's not expensive. He just costs 2 mana, 1 green and 1 regular, and I like him a lot because he gets to have us choose what card's going to be next. So we're going to pass by this Merrileaf Rider for right now because he creates a food token, which I'm not so sure about yet. We may be able to add that in, but Probably not. So, okay, let's see. We got Woodland Mystic that if you tap it, it adds 1. He's kind of expensive, so let's keep going here. The Llanowar Visionary. Now, he's a 2/2. He adds mana, but when he enters the battlefield, you draw a card. I really like that card, so we're going to add 2 there. It gives us more options. Now, these cards here, since they're black and green, we're not going to go into those, which means that unless we want to add this Occam Ranger, we are not going to choose any more elf cards. Well, let's see. Maybe we'll choose the Pelt Collector, so whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if its power was greater than Pelt Collector, he's going to get a +1/+1. So we'll do that, and if he has 3, he gets Trample as well. So we'll add him, and then let's see. So if we look here, so we got our 24 lands there, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 cards so far. So 36 cards. We still have 24 to go, which gives us plenty of room to add maybe some larger, bigger creatures or non-elves. So we'll delete this elf out of here, and then we'll go ahead and just open it up and take a look and try to find, basically what we're going to do is try to find cards that support what we're trying to do. So I love Giant Growth. Target creature gets +3/+3 until end of turn. It only costs you 1. That's going to beef up your elves big time. I'm going to put 2 in for now, and we'll see if we have more room later. Alright, so let's see. This is a cool card, but kind of expensive to create the bear tokens. So we're not going to choose that. Let's see. Castle Garenbrig. It's always good to have rare lands, and since we're going to have Force, we might as well add this. If you can see at the bottom, if you pay 2 and 2 green and tap it, you can add 6 mana, so you can get 2 extra mana. That could really help us get bigger, better creatures onto the battlefield. So we're going to do Might of the Masses, obviously, because we're looking for a lot of little creatures. This gets +1/+1 for each creature you control until the end of turn. That's a great card as well. Let's see. Alright, so as we're moving along, we just want to choose cards, like I said, that are going to help us out with bolstering our elves. But also, we're going to need some larger creatures to help us out with towards the end of the game. So let's see. We could do this. So Hexproof and Indestructible. Heroic Intervention is always a good card. We'll definitely add that in. Let's see. Our Naturalist, he adds 1 mana of any color. We're not going to do that. The Carotid, we won't use him. Normally I would put it in a green deck if it had another color, because you can add 1 mana of any other color. So we're not going to go there. Gift of Strength. Ooh, okay, this is good. So we're going to put a couple Gifts of Strength, because not only do they get +3/+3, but they get Reach, so they can block flying creatures. Also, it's just a very important piece. Alright, so let's see. Green Cat creature tokens is what Jolrael gives us. Till end of turn, creatures you control have base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in your hand. We're not really big on the draw. This would be useful if you had a draw deck going, maybe a blue and green, a Simic deck that you were looking to draw a lot. So we don't have that. We're going to move along. Oh, when Ironshell Beetle enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. We'll add him in. I like him. Let's see. Crawl Harpooner has Reach. X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Yeah, you know what? We'll add him, and we'll do Elves and Insects right now. Plummet, we want to be able to get rid of those flying creatures. So destroy target creature with flying. Let's grab 2 of those. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay. So we could put some enchantments on here when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, so that helps. That's definitely helpful. And it gets +1/+0 and has trample. We'll definitely take that. This is a good one too, Season of Growth. So whenever a creature enters the battlefield, we can scry, so we can decide to put the top card on our library either at the top or at the bottom, so it gives us an option of what we're going to draw next. So let's do 2 of those as well. Let's see. Oh, definitely you have to have removal cards. So this will destroy target artifact or enchantment. You don't want to get caught where you can't get rid of an enchantment somebody has that's completely destroying your game. So Return to Nature is a good green card removal for that. We'll add that in. I like it. Let's see. I like Sir Farron. So even though he's a human knight and doesn't really fit with our elf theme, it's still good to have something like this because he adds +X/+X until end of turn, where it's his power. So if we can beef him up with some of our enchantments, then all of a sudden another elf, maybe a 1/1 elf, could become a 5/5 elf when it's attacking. So that's cool. We don't want to mill any cards. Those sagas are pretty specific. This Snare Spinner has reach, and maybe we could use a couple of those. I do like that. So let's see. Whenever an enchanted land is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1. We can sacrifice it to create wolf tokens. I'm not all about that, so we're just going to stick with what we have here so far. Now, Azusa lets us play additional lands on each of our turns. Maybe we'll add that down the road, but I don't think we need it. So let's see what this district guide enters the battlefield. We can search our library and put it into the battlefield. Oh no, we put it into our hand and shuffle our library. Not really that useful. So let's see. Not really doing too many big creatures. We are on the hunt for some big creatures. I think that's the next thing that we need to add. So let's look. We are in the search for larger creatures now. The question is, do we want to do a big like beast creature? Do we want to do dinosaurs? How do we want to roll here? And it's all going to be dependent too upon, you know, what you have in your collection. You know, that's always a big part. Renata's power is equal to your devotion to green, and since we're running a green mono deck, this is probably a really good thing. And then she also, as your creatures enter the battlefield, they get +1/+1. So that's a good card to have. We'll definitely add her in. Only add 1 because we're running out of space, but also because it's important for us to limit our legendaries. You can only have 1 on the battlefield at any given point in time. So let's see, Prized Unicorn. I think that's a good card, and it fits with our elf theme. Elves and unicorns go together. So all creatures able to block Prized Unicorn do so. So if you have a bunch of creatures on the battlefield, and Prized Unicorn is one of them, and you're attacking with it, all the creatures on the other side have to block Prized Unicorn, and all the other ones go unblocked. So that's always a cool card to have in there. We have 2 different versions of it, so we'll add both of them in. And now we're at our 60 cards. So the question is, you know, now that we've gotten up to our 60 cards, we really haven't added anything too big or crazy. So we really, you know, we want to think about adding some bigger cards in here. So Elder Gargaroth is always a good card to add. It's just big, it's bountiful, it has vigilance, reach, and trample. So vigilance means it doesn't tap when it attacks, reach means it can block creatures with flying, and then trample means any damage that goes unblocked goes back to the player again. So if you get blocked by a 1/1 creature with the 6/6, then 5 damage still goes through and you kill the creature on the other side. So that's a really good card. Again, we have to decide. I don't want to go over 60. I think that 60 is really the max. So what we need to maybe do is we'll take out one of these Crawl Harpooners, and then we'll add the Elder Gargaroth in. And then we'll take a look. We'll get rid of one Snare Spinner just to get some variety here, because I saw another spider, this 4/4 spider, Vigilance and Reach. It's a bigger creature, always good to have one of those. So we'll add one there. And then as we go through, I'm just going to look for duplicate cards that I want to pull out, maybe in favor of some other ones. So let's see, Skyway Sniper. We chose him because he does the 1 damage to target creature with flying, and he has reach, but we just added a couple of spiders with reach. So we'll take away one of him. And then maybe what we need to do here is we'll add... That's a big creature, and it could be a game changer towards the end, especially with a lot of elves that add mana in play. So we're going to add an aggressive mammoth in here. I think it's a great idea. I think it'll help us out a lot. Let's see. Should we pull anything else out, or are we ready to go is the question. I think that we're going to roll with this. So once again, we built a mono green, really elf-based mana ramp deck that hopefully is going to move pretty fast. And then once we can move fast, we'll decide whether or not we need to, move in a different direction with it. But I think that this is going to be how we're going to roll for now. So we're going to click done. It's going to save that deck for us. So there it is. New deck right here. What we'll do is we'll name it Elf Mono Green. There we go. And then we're going to go back to our home so that we can start testing this deck out. So we're going to run one in this video. We'll run one scenario. We'll do play here. I always play historic, but we're going to play standard. And we'll do standard ranked. We like that. We'll select a deck. The Elf Mono Green, obviously that's the deck that we just built. And if you have a deck that doesn't fit into a format, it won't show up here. And then the invalid decks, as you can see, it'll show down here, and it actually gives you how many cards are invalid from the deck. So we're going to play Elf Mono Green, standard ranked, and here we go. We're just going to get straight into it. This is the fun thing about creating decks in Arena, is that it's all really right there. You don't have to search through. You can sort your different colors. You can even sort through rarity, and we'll kind of get into that more in another video. But again, this is just a basic mono green elf-driven mana ramp deck with a couple of big creatures in there that hopefully will move fast enough to really get our opponent down before they can even react or build up their creature bases or their buffs or enchantments or whatever it might be, however they run their deck. But the idea about this deck is that it moves quickly, lots of mana to choose from, so you can just put massive amounts of creatures out. And then we have sorceries and instant spells that are going to really build those creatures up from being small to sometimes being gigantic, especially if we can get a card out that adds +1/+1 for every creature in play. So that's the goal. Oh, and here we go. So we were in the queue and waiting for a challenger. Now we got one, Emil84. So we're going to find out how this is going to go. So, okay, whenever I play green mana ramp, and I'm going to go through this just to make sure, and I'm going to take a little extra time. So I just make sure that I have 2 lands, because I know that I'm going to have creatures that are going to add mana, and I have enough lands, so I'm going to pull them. Normally it says 3 to 4 lands. I just go with 2 if I'm playing a mana ramp deck. So my Incubation Druid is going to add 1 no matter what, so technically I have 3 mana available to me in this first hand. So we're going to keep our 7. I rarely ever mulligan unless I'm running a deck that I absolutely need mana. So first things first, we're going to play our Forest, and we don't really have anything else to play, nothing to play that giant growth on. So I always try to look ahead and see, because I'm going to have 2 mana, I'm going to be able to play. Oh, and he's playing Duress on us, so he's going to make us discard a card, and he discarded Return to Nature. So that could mean that he's running artifacts and enchantments, and he doesn't want us to get rid of them. So we're going to play our second Forest, And as I was talking about, we are going to go ahead and play our Incubation Druid so that we can get a mana out of him. There we go. Now he's in play. If you don't know, if you're new to this, he has Summoning Sickness, so he can't really do anything until the following turn. Let's see what card they played. So Lifelink and Haste, Banehound, Nightmare Dog. Lifelink means that if you attack and I don't block, it means that he's going to do 1 damage to me and he's going to gain 1 damage. And then he added this Kaya's Ghost form. When it dies, put it into exile and return the card to the battlefield. So I'm going to block because he has no mana available. Yes, he's going to gain 1 life, but I don't want to take the damage. And he can't really play any other cards to add up or beef up that creature. So we'll block him. That creature won't die. We'll still have it. And then there we go. So now I've got a couple choices here. So I can either play my Giant Growth and try to attack and do some quick damage. I could play my Snare Spinner, which actually is probably going to be our best bet. We do want to get creatures out on the battlefield. But I could also play Sir Farron. So when he attacks, another target attack creature will get +2/+2 until the end of turn, which is always really cool. And it's nice and early. So we could go ahead and get him out. But no, you know what? We need cards. So I'm going to play Season of Growth. And the reason I'm playing this is because now whenever we cast a creature spell, we're going to draw a card. So next to combat, he doesn't have any power, so we don't need to attack with him. So we're going to go no attacks. And then we'll end our turn. And now, whenever we play a creature, we get to scry, so we really get to choose the cards that are coming out. So he's going to attack. We are going to block again. Although he has mana available, he's playing black, so I just don't see it. If he gets us, he gets us. I don't want to take the damage, so we're going to go ahead and block. Nothing but that costs 3 mana to play, so there we go. We blocked and he gained the 1 life, so that's fine. Now, we're going to hold on to this Return to Nature because he got rid of it last time, which makes me believe that he's going to try to play some kind of card down the road. So we're going to go back to what we were going to do last turn and play Sir Farron so that we can scry. When you scry, it's going to come up with the 2 cards, so we're going to either have Might of the Masses or another card. I think we need mana, so I'm going to put Might of the Masses on the bottom, and then hopefully we get a land card next turn. So here we go. We're next. Again, we're not going to attack. Sir Farron has Summoning Sickness, so we don't need to go and attack him, so we're done with our turn there. Alright. So we're still at 20 life. He's gained a couple life, but not really done any harm to us, but here we go. So, destroy target creature an opponent controls with power 2 or less. Now, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to protect Sir Farron and put this Giant Growth on him. That way he can't just destroy Sir Farron. So yeah, he destroyed our Incubation Druid, but that's fine. We don't, we needed him for mana, but hopefully, again, we're going to pull. There we go. So we pulled another Forest. That's what we wanted. Now, we're going to pull our Snare Spinner out. So we're going to get to scry again. Oh, and the Aggressive Mammoth. So we really don't have enough mana to get the Aggressive Mammoth in play. So even though he's only one of our very few big creatures, and we would love to have him in our hand, we're going to go ahead and put him on the bottom because we need to get more mana and more elves out onto the field. So we're going to drop him, and then we're also going to play our Skyway Sniper so he can get onto the battlefield. Okay, so we're going to scry again. We've got a Forest coming. We want the Forest, so we're going to click Done. We want to pull another Forest. That's very important for us. Okay, so we can attack with Sir Farron. And he's probably going to block because he wants his creature to come back to life and block our damage. But, oh, he didn't block it. Okay. Okay, so he's going to get to choose a non-land, non-creature card and then discard. So he discarded our Setessan Training. Which is fine. Okay, now he's got a big flying creature with trample out on the battlefield, the Doom Whisperer. Now that might spell some trouble for us because we are not in a position to combat that. So exile target opponent's graveyard. We don't really care if he exiles our graveyard because we're not pulling any cards from our graveyard. So it doesn't really matter to us. So normally we might return to nature that card, but we're going to hold it still just to make sure that we don't run into any kind of nonsense. Alright, so there we go. We have a couple creatures with reach, so they can block him. We are not going to attack. He said good game. I'm not really sure if he thinks this is over or not, but unless he's got something up his sleeve that's going to make it over, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to go ahead and let him exile our graveyard. Oh, okay. Well, that Massacre Worm is going to destroy us. Massacre Worm gives us -2/-2 until end of turn for all of our creatures, which is going to kill everything except for our Snare Spinner, unfortunately. And we're going to lose life because of it too. Yeah, it looks like we may be done for. And really, you know, what happened here, and the reason that we are done for is because as we look at what happened, we didn't pull enough of our elves in the beginning. We didn't have enough going on, and we just got in a hole. So I'm actually not going to block. Just, you know, maybe the chance that I might pull something. He's going to do 7 damage to us, and then the next one he's going to have 13 damage to do to us. So I'll be able to block 6 of it no matter what, and maybe we'll be able to live one more day. So we're going to get to draw a card with our Llanowar Visionary. It was really our only play, as we only had 2 cards. So we get to scry. So we can see that we have this card in the queue, the Sentinel Spider. He's too expensive. It's not going to help us. So that's that, and then we'll draw whatever the next card is. And we don't even have enough mana to play our Greenwood Sentinel, which might have saved us. So we're going to go no attacks. We're going to see what he pulls out next. I think we might be able to live for one more turn. So we'll block that, and we'll take his 7 damage. Oh, and I made a mistake, so I'm going to lose 2 life because the Snare Spinner is going to die. And that's going to kill us. Oh, and he had trample. So there we go. That was it. Obviously not a very successful first deck, but again, we just didn't pull what we needed to pull to make it competitive. And that happens in Magic. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is for beginners, mono green elf deck. Don't forget to follow us at Magic the Rescuing on Instagram. And if you like it, and if you love it, subscribe.